All this is bullshit. I'm saying when I say bullshit.
First, I would like to give my respects to Tina Turner, Ike Turner. I want to give my respects to their families. I want to give my respects to everybody that I'm going to discuss in this video that happened to have passed on. Please don't take no offense to all the things that I'm saying. These are just my personal opinions. You don't necessarily have to feel the same way that I feel, and I understand if you don't. I'm just going to let you know that this video is going to challenge a lot of what people think and what people believe, and it's not the popular take. So I'm just letting you know, from the beginning, so you know what to expect. You may not like this video, but I'm going to get very candid and speak about how I feel on this topic. Thank you.
Ike Turner was a hater. Why was he so triggered in the background?
What would you do if I sang out to?
Give you a black eye.
Would you stand up and walk out on me?
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling? Now, I want to talk about a very important topic, okay? Let's talk about exonerating Ike. Yep, Ike Turner. But not completely, okay? Now, who cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining? That's the reality we live in today.
Nobody cares about the truth and the lie is more entertaining.
So we're going to talk about it, okay? Now, narratives get shaped, stories get polished, and the truth, well, sometimes it gets lost in the process. So today I want to talk about Ike Turner. No, I'm not here to dissolve him of his wrongdoings, but I am here to challenge the idea that he was the sole villain of the story.
Can't control Ike and the musicians. Ike's just really cutting up back there sometimes. I'm seriously singing a song almost in tears, and he's back there jabbing, having them to laugh. But I don't like that Ike gets to laugh because they're right out there with me, and they're sort of representing me, and then with all sniggling and everything, he just throws the whole thing off, But, you can't tell Ike what to do.
Because the truth is uncomfortable. The truth isn't black and white. The truth is Tina wasn't a victim. I mean, she was also a participant in a deeply toxic, abusive relationship, okay? So let's get into it. Let's be clear. Ike Turner was abusive, okay? There's no excusing that. He put hands on Tina. He manipulated her. He used control as a weapon. We've all heard the stories, but what if I tell you that, those stories, while true, don't tell the whole story?
I am very sorry. I did a lot of things wrong in my life, but the way that they portrayed me in that movie.
Now, Tina Turner did, what many victims do. She reshaped the narrative in a way that allowed her to survive. But in doing so, did she erase her own, role in their toxic cycle? You know what I'm saying? Because abuse isn't always one-sided. And, in this case, I believe that both Ike and Tina were abusive towards each other, okay?
I told Tina, hey, why don't you get your own bank account? Well, you want to come ask me, blah, 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 blah. She said, nope, I don't want to mess with your money. I said, it's not my money, it's our money.
Ike's childhood and systematic struggles, okay? Before we condemn a man, we have to ask, how did he become this way? Ike Turner grew up in the Jim Crow South, okay? In a world where survival meant being tough, where pain was a given, and where violence was a language. He was abused as a child, something that shaped how he viewed power and control in relationships, okay? And let's not ignore what the music industry did to him. His sound, his innovation, his work was stolen. He wasn't just fighting his home. He was fighting against an industry that profited off black talent while leaving black artists with nothing. Okay, this kind of betrayal does something to a man. It builds resentment, it breeds anger, and when you mix that with drugs, fame, you get just a perfect storm. Okay, let's talk about the drug factor on both sides. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions is that Ike introduced Tina to drugs. But if you pay attention, you'll realize that drug use wasn't just an Ike problem. It was like a them problem, okay? Ike didn't start as an addict, but once success came, so did pressure. And with that, pressure came substances to numb the pain. Tina wasn't just an innocent bystander in that world. She was in it too.
You had a few problems with drugs. How's that coming along? Well, you wouldn't believe this, man. 13 times I've been arrested. Not once have they ever found me with any drugs. Not once.
Their relationship wasn't just built on music. It was built on addiction, dysfunction and codependency, okay? The power of image and why Ike's story was buried. Let's talk about that, okay? Tina Turner had she basically had to reinvent herself, okay? And I don't blame her. Like, she was a black woman trying to make it in an industry that at the time wasn't kind to black women. And so she learned, like, she just learned so much, okay? She leaned into her story, her victimhood, became a part of her comeback, okay?
What can I say? I became happy.
When you build a brand on escaping an abuser, admitting to your own role in the toxicity becomes impossible, because the moment she did, it would have given people a reason to question everything. And that's why Ike's side of the story never had a chance, because painting him as a monster was easier because it made, for a better movie, a better book, a better redemption, And again, who cares about the truth when the lie is more entertaining?
Nobody cares about the truth and the lie is more entertaining.
Okay? The complexity of being a victim and an abuser, like, we're going to talk about that, okay? This isn't about saying, like, Ike Turner was innocent. He wasn't.
That was the first time he had actually violently beat me. We're not talking about a lick or whatever. This was actually the first time he ever hit me. I was shocked because I never knew. My mother and father fought, but I'd never been actually seen anybody be beaten, so to speak,
But it is about acknowledging, like, that abuse is complicated, okay? That people can be both victims and abusers at the same time.
We had that fight, but as far as me being abusive to my wife and my kids, one of my kids is here now.
That trauma doesn't excuse behavior, but it does explain it. Like, Ike Turner was a deeply flawed man, but he was also a man who was failed by the system, failed by the industry, and ultimately failed by his own demons. And if we're going to have, like, an honest conversation about abuse, we need to be willing to look at it, with the whole picture. Look at the whole picture, not just the version that sells the most tickets. So before you dismiss this video as demanding, or defending an abuser, ask yourself, why does one person's truth get to be the only truth? Why do we erase the complexities of people's experiences in favor of digestible narratives? Because sometimes the truth isn't entertaining, but still deserves to be told.
My name has been drugged through the mud. I want to straighten this crap out about what I am.
Now, before Ike, Tina, then Anna Mae Bullock, was involved with Raymond Hill, a member of the Rhythm Kings. In fact, her first child, Craig, was fathered by Raymond, right? Not Ike. She had also lost her virginity to another musician who was Alan at the time. Despite her ability to walk away from Raymond Hill, who was also a band leader, she later claimed that the power dynamics with Ike made it impossible to leave. That contradiction is worth exploring. Why was it difficult to walk away from Ike but not Craig? His name is Raymond Craig Hill. He was a band leader. You left him early on, but you had difficulties leaving Ike. That's something to talk about, right?
And I had no money. I had no place to go. But I just took a chance. I said the way out is through the door.
And I almost want to point out, like, why is it difficult to walk away from Ike but not Craig when they held similar position? Could it be that Tina, attachment to Ike wasn't just about fear, but also about the career and the status he provided? There's this whole thing about the power dynamics of Tina's relationships, right? Tina's life revealed a pattern. She was consistently drawn to men in positions of power, from Raymond Hill to Ike Turner, to her late husband, I believe his name was Irwin or something like that, Irwin. Each one of these males played a crucial role in shaping her career and life and trajectory. Raymond Hill helped her develop her talent as a singer. Ike Turner turned her into a star. Irwin helped rebrand her and actually solidified her as, a legend. He brought her to legend status. While she later framed, her relationship with Ike as one of, like, just complete control and victimization, it's important to acknowledge that Tina too had agency in her choices. She was drawn to men who could offer her something, whether it was, mentorship, stability, or just career growth. The reality of abuse, but not one-sidedness. Let's talk about that. Okay. There is no denying that Ike was physically abusive to Tina. I keep saying that. Okay. The fact that this is like a fact. Okay. That fact has been well documented. However, there is like evidence suggesting that Tina was also abusive towards Ike, you know?
Ike Turner has been badmouthed by this Hollywood. Ike Turner, I grew up where Ike Turner was an icon in our neighborhood because he always stopped with his homeboy, brought fries and hamburgers and cokes, and would sit there and talk to us youngsters for 2-3 hours at a time, telling us to stay straight, focus on school, get a decent career together, act like you've got some sense, treat women with respect, and treat your communities with respect. Tina Turner drove around in a matching Rolls Royce, and if you made the bad mistake of confusing the two vehicles, she'd roll the window down, cuss you out, spit at you, tell you you weren't worth a goddamn, and she would treat you like dirt. How else would I do that? Okay, fine. One particular anecdote, personal eyewitness, ears heard, went to a picnic, family-style picnic, not picnic, barbecue, 4 houses down from where the Turners live. Ike was down doing his gardening. He put his trowel down, wiped his hands over, came over and talked to the young men, including me. We all played football for Dorsey High, asked us how the team was doing, talked stuff to us, told us to be in school. He went back. That witch, Tina Turner, came out the door, started cussing at him. He started talking to her, saying, please, there are children around. Stop that. She wasn't mad at him about a woman. She was mad at him because he had a writer's block on a song they were working on. She wound up coming out and hitting him as hard as she could, it looked like, with one of these heavy cast iron head rakes. We thought she'd done him some serious harm. Yeah, we saw that. I saw her when she was standing in line at Ralph's Market on Crenshaw Boulevard at the railroad tracks. There were 4 little high school girls went to Dorsey. I was in college, a senior at the time. Tina was standing in front of them. One of them got the nerve. Tina turned around and called her a sleazy, greasy bitch. Don't ever talk to me unless I give you permission. The girls started crying. That's why I don't have any respect for that woman, because Hollywood sat there and tried to run a game on Ike. Ike and his new wife were in front of me for 2 arbitration proceedings. You know what for? Because they had a foundation to help out abused women. What it was about is if the woman signed a contract, they would give her money to escape from the abuse. If she went back, she owed a repayment on what was a loan. If she left, it was a gift. That's what it was about, because Ike Turner was an upstanding man, and that sleazy heifer. Oh, and I don't even talk about what she used to do when she was a pimp in Memphis. And when I got here back in the early 70s and I started getting clients who were scared of that person because she was a gorilla pimp. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's how I can talk about a real man who stopped every time he got over and over and would talk to all of the young boys in the hood about being straight, getting your studies together, paying attention to being crime-free, and listening to your parents and being something in life. Yeah, I talk about that punk-ass Will Smith doing that unmanly BS, and I support a person that helped myself and a lot of other black boys become men and deal with listening to what he was telling us about manhood and respect. And I saw him act with respect, and I saw that witch that Hollywood made into a prototype for a feminist mad woman act exactly the opposite. That's why.
Now, I'm sorry to go there, but that has been stated by different, outlets and different people. She openly admitted to fighting back, even described moments where she lashed out violently,
And I hit him back. Sure felt great. First time? Yeah, I think my hand bounced. I might have hit so hard. I was remembering it now. It's all coming back somehow. But yeah, I really gave it a good one.
The problem is we don't often hear about her role in the toxicity of their relationship, only his, okay? And let's not ignore the fact that Tina had a clear motive by painting Ike in the worst possible light. By the time she told her story, she was in the middle of a career reinvention. And who wants to root, for a woman who might have been as abusive as well? Like, it's far easier to sell the comeback story where, she's purely a victim overcoming the monster.
No, I can't. But anyway. Tell the story. She knows who she is.
Tell me. Okay, tell us what happened, though.
I went to hug her, and I went to enter Zori because she was with Mick Jagger at that moment. And I said, Zori, this is Mick Jagger. And Zori said, hello. And Mick was excited. Oh, you're Patty's son. And so then the lady, I went to hug her. She said, oh, no, darling, you're moist. I said, moist? I had just finished, and I was hot and sweaty. That heifer told me I was moist. I haven't spoken to her since.
Oh, no.
But does that mean she was lying? Not necessarily. It just means that there may have been, selective storytelling with details left out to make the narrative fit more neatly. Let's not forget Tina had already lied before. For years, she portrayed Ike as Craig's father, when in reality, it was Raymond Hill's. Like, that was Raymond Hill's son. Ike Turner wasn't just an abuser. He was also a victim in his own right. From childhood, he endured extreme abuse and trauma. His, contributions to music were often stolen, and his reputation was like forever tarnished in a way that, overshadowed his role as a pioneer of rock and roll.
The stage right now, that's a lie. That's an outright lie right there. When my son was born, I was not there. I had nothing to do with her going back on stage. She got out of bed and jumped on this girl because this girl was turning tricks, saying she was Tina Turner. Tina didn't want to be known as like she was a hooker. And Tina whooped the girl up, and she went on and did on stage. I think maybe my son was a day old or something. And she went back on stage. But no, these are things I admire. But see, they making it nasty. Like, I made her go back on stage.
And while Tina's story was believed without question, Ike's perspective was dismissed. Even in his later years, when he tried to defend himself, the world had already decided who the villain was. This isn't about, like, completely dissolving Ike Turner of his wrongdoings. Because I'm going to state this because I've said it before. He was abusive. He did terrible things. But if we're going to discuss the truth, we need to acknowledge the full complexity of the situation. Tina Turner was a victim, but she wasn't a helpless one. She had choices. She made choices. She participated in the relationship. She benefited from the power dynamics just as much as, she suffered from them. It wasn't just one-sided. He wasn't just this big bad wolf. I'm not saying that what he did was excused. It's not excused. He was dead wrong, but also Tina played a part.
We came like from Africa, and sort of our attitudes and our way of life sort of esteems from the African way. And I think like this sort of, I'm only speaking now like from something I haven't really looked into, but I get that Africans are sort of very lazy people. They're not very aggressive. They just sort of want to live off the land and live very comfortable, which is great if you can do that, if you're in a position to be able to do that. But I felt that they enjoyed our performance there, but I have to be inspired by something when I go to Europe. I enjoy it because the people there are very fashionable, and you can see it's just fun. I mean, all we do is work. We check in a hotel, and we go on stage, and we go to the airport. So you have to feel some kind of inspiration from a city, right? So when I go to Africa, I'm very down because the food isn't good. I don't get any really good, fantastic vibes from the people, so I'm just really bored.
While it is important to exonerate individuals, I don't want to completely exonerate Ike Turner. I just want to point out that there has to be balance, okay? It's not just all Ike's fault, but at the same time, Tina was definitely a victim. However, she was well aware of what she was doing with the movie, and she was well aware as far as staying with Ike. Now, as far as the abuse occurred further in their relationship, but from the beginning, she kind of gave the perception as though she felt pressured to be with him. She said, hey, I feel pressured to be in this relationship with Ike. At least when she does interview now, she says that she felt pressured to be with him, and I just don't agree with that perception, just because now this is not my story. So what I view or what I feel honestly does not matter. This woman is past gone. She's lived her life, rest in peace, Tina Turner. But I feel as though because she had a baby with somebody who was in a group with a similar name, and then she had a child with somebody who was the leader of the group at the time, and he and Ike was on the same level, she was well aware of what it would mean to, partake with the new group member. And as far as physically forced, there was no physical force. She just felt pressured because of the dynamics. However, that dynamic kind of persisted throughout her career. Her past husband, the most recent husband that she was married to before he passed on, if we really process that and talk about that, she was married to that man, and there was power dynamics that existed with that, with the guy before Ike that she had her child with, there was power dynamics there, and she stayed in a relationship with him. So I think that the reason as to why she points out what happened with Ike, despite the abuse, because the abuse is one part of it, right? Oh, he was definitely abusive, but that is argued because a lot of people feel as though yes, Ike was abusive, but they were abusive to each other. It wasn't just cut and dry Ike abusive. Tina just would not own up to her abuse. And Tina's not going to say that I did certain things, and I was abusive too, and I hit him and I did that. She would never say that because she has rebranded herself as the victim, so admitting to any part of it would definitely be problematic, because people would not want to rally around her, and her legacy would be ruined. So I understand as far as why she would not admit that. And in a lot of cases, men get the bad bulk of it, of the abuse story. Like if a man gets abused by a woman, he's not protected as quickly. He's not protected fast. He's not looked at as, oh my God, you're a survivor. That man ego is stripped. So Ike was kind of in a lose-lose situation, because if he admitted that Tina was abusive to him, he would be perceived as less than a man. He would be perceived as a wimp. He would be perceived, and honestly, with that movie being as popular as it was, nobody really believed him. I thought that he was being honest by saying, yes, I did, physically abuse her. It was a physical situation. However, it wasn't just one-sided. She was physical as well. We were in a very toxic relationship. Drugs were involved. He kind of owned up to the part that he played, whereas Tina never owned up to any part, like any wrongdoing. She never said that I did this and I did that. Ike, there's balance there. He's saying, yeah, while I did that, she did fabricate, some of the story. It wasn't just the way in which she, mentioned it.
There's an expression of being fed up to here, and then you're fed up. Up. You don't say up to here even, you just say up.
And the thing is, I can almost respect the honesty. Like, hey, I did this and I did that, but I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And you're not going to put something on me that I didn't do, especially since I'm admitting to the part that I played in it and admitting to the part that I was wrong in, Whereas with Tina, the entire story of What's Love Got to Do with It was fabricated completely, As far as her being a virgin, that was a fabrication. She had a whole child before she met Ike, While she also mentioned that, hey, he took my virginity. Nope, Ike never took her virginity. It was another group member, not even in his band, a whole nother band. This guy named Alan took her virginity, and he was very careless with the process of it. And she talks about how she views, intercourse, and how she views sex with the power dynamics and everything, and how she basically views it as a transaction, and how she's emotionally hurt. She speaks about that in her book, and honestly, it explains as to why she's been attracted to such powerful men. And when things do not work out, then Tina would say that, hey, this didn't work out or that didn't work out, and because of the power dynamics, you can't kind of lean on the power dynamics and then continue to pursue high men in leadership, and then complain about the power of it. Because you don't like the power dynamics, you don't want somebody that is above, then you shouldn't be with somebody that is above. Her ex-husband, most past husband, he was a record executive. He helped her with the rebrand. The husband before Ike helped her kind of find her sound, and even her singing level. She speaks about how she likes to sing as a man. Ike Turner, he was really focused on his group, the King of Rhythm. He actually loved male singers. His, pursuit was to show light or shine the light upon male singers. He really valued male singers.
Charles, Sam Cooke. I never started wanting to be, real feminine.
Yeah.
Like the girls singers. I started wanting to, really.
Yeah.
Well, because when I started singing, I had, mostly male singers, and I wanted to sound like they sound. So, I've been singing all my life, but when I started singing with him, I wanted to sound like them, and then with liking Ray Charles and all, I just sort of went right along. I never had a lot of female favorites.
That's interesting, yeah. And she wanted to punch like a man, and all the women want to be men these days. What do you make of that, Ike?
I wanted to be a man.
No, I didn't say that. I'm sorry, I put words in your mouth. And,
and the fact that Tina had that raspy, aggressive male tone is what attracted him as far as musically. I don't know about the relationship piece, but musically, that's what attracted him to Tina in the first place. And I feel as though she was singing like that in order to garner or gain Ike Turner's attention, and I feel like he helped her because those were the singers that he was attracted to, the male singers, the soulful male singers. And he helped her, clean that up because he is very very much so talented in his own right with songwriting and finding talent and how he helps musicians. He's gifted in that light. But I don't think it's cut and dry as in, oh, it was just one person. No, I believe that they were trauma bonding. I really do. I believe he was physically, he did hurt her. She was a victim. I agree that. But I feel like they were both victim. Tina was not just the victim and, throw the rights away. No, it was both of them. Both of them were very traumatic and they had trauma in their past lives and they got together and were trauma bonding. And both of them, I believe that they both physically touched each other, abused each other.
But I don't like her at all. And I don't even know. In other words, I love Anime Bullock, the one I knew. I don't know this woman I see now. I don't like, I don't love, I don't want no part.
They were very, I believe that, because when you read Ike Turner's book, there's certain things that you're like, And when you read Tina Turner's books, there's certain things that's like, She alludes to certain things, but she keeps certain things. The fact that she was calling her child's father Craig when his name was, the Craig name was the middle name, and I told you guys his name earlier, but that wasn't his first name. But if somebody did not know that his middle name was Craig, you would think that it was like Johnson or something. I don't remember it off head, but that was his name. His first name was Johnson. His middle name was Craig Hill. I think it was Johnson Craig Hill. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was her child's father. But she was calling him Craig by his middle name, and nobody would think to look that up because when you look and you see, hey, the Kings, because Ike Turner's group was the Kings of Rhythm, and his group was the Rhythm and King, which was very similar. I think that she did that on purpose, trying to hide his identity or trying to hide, because if you really look up the leaders, the fact that both of these guys were leaders of a group that sounds very similar, it kind of makes you look like, hey, Tina, did you leave your baby dad to go to his arch nemesis? Because their names are similar. Both of them are in St. Louis. Both of them are, striving to make it on the music scene. Whatever happened between you and the Craig guy, and the Mr. Hill guy did not work out. You get with wanted to sing with Ike Turner, and then it becomes romantic. You can put that in your ex's face and say, hey, ha ha ha, the name is similar, and I have one over on you, and this guy left you with a baby, and you had to do this all on your own. I'm not saying that was the case, but it kind of looks crazy. It definitely looks crazy. But in this video, I just kind of want you guys to really take a look. I know it says exonerating Ike, but I really want you guys to look that it's not just so cut and dry, and it's not just one side over another. I really think that you should think about it, because it's not all Ike is just this horrible guy. He wasn't a great guy, but at the same time, he was very honest about the part that he played in it. Whereas Tina never admitted to no wrongs that she had. She's not even admitting to the simple facts of it all. Like, hey, this is what occurred. I had a child prior to. In her book, she kind of does talk about it, but she talks about it in a way to where it dissolves her of any wrongdoing and makes it seem as though that she's completely innocent. And I just don't like that perception, especially since Ike Turner is being very transparent and saying the parts that he played in it. So I would so much so respect it if she was, very forthcoming and honest about the part that she played in it, because the fact that, oh, you're dissolved of all wrongdoing, I just personally, I don't know if I believe that, just because if we're being honest, you had a child prior to him, and then for you to say you didn't necessarily do anything or make any actions because you were attracted to him, and he was like a brother to you, and you play innocent. I didn't know, but it's kind of weird because you messed with somebody in the same exact position, band member, the leader of the band at that, and he was having a very similar name to Ike Turner. So for you to turn around and say, I don't know the power dynamics, those power dynamics existed with your baby dad, your baby dad, who was the Craig guy prior to you even meeting Ike. You met Ike with a baby. You had a whole child in very similar situations. So you understood the power dynamics, in my opinion, what I saw. Now, I don't know their story. This is just from what I've, researched and my own personal opinion. This is highly opinionated. So don't take me as the end all be all. Have your own opinions, but I really would love to hear your opinions. Please let me know in the comments what you all think. I'll let you guys know what I think, as far as the entire situation. I don't believe that Ike is a victim. I do not. I don't believe believe that Tina is a victim. I feel like both of them are victims, and both of them were trauma bonding. They should have never been together in the first place, and they both hurt each other in different ways. It's unfortunate that this man was putting hands on Tina, and he's admitted to it, but I believe that she did some things to him too. I believe it was both sided. I don't believe it was one sided. I really do. But that's just my humble opinion. You all let me know what you think. I love you guys to pieces, and bye bye.
Nobody made Tina stay there for 18 years.